I don't know if I can recommend Nick Fuentes. Why? I don't know if I can. Why? He's a brilliant young man. When I say young, because I know he's younger than me, right? Let me just comment on why I have a problem with Nick Fuentes, who's going to be watching me and he's going to be throwing F-bombs at me because I hear he watches me and cusses me out. Why do I have a problem with Nick Fuentes? You ready? Nick Fuentes, brilliant young man, very well educated. The problem is, from what I see, he's too extreme in his view in regards to the Jews. This is why people accuse him of being a neo-Nazi, because he thinks it's a badge of honor to want to question the numbers of Jews who were killed in the Holocaust. Because of his extreme views, he does himself more damage than good. He's his worst enemy, and he gets himself in trouble and closes doors that otherwise would be open if he wasn't extreme. This is why we have to be balanced. We don't become extreme right or left. Let us say the 6 million Jews who were, there weren't 6 million. Let's say it was 5,999,999. Why make it an issue? Why would you even want to bring it up? What do you gain by questioning the numbers? Why would you then join Kanye West on Alex Jones' show where he praises Hitler? Why? So you need to discredit the Jews by trying to make the number of Jews who were slaughtered less than they are? Really? Okay, so let's say it's 1 million. Why make it an issue? Whether it's 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, why make it an issue? What do you gain by it? Oh, we want to expose the lies of the Jews. All right. Wise as serpents, harmless as doves. To the Jew, I became a Jew. To the one with the law, I became like one under the law. To the one without law, I became as without law. I became all things to all men, that I may win some to Christ. Isn't that Paul's attitude? 1 Corinthians 9. 1 Corinthians 9, verses 19 to 23. 1 Corinthians 10, 31 to 33. Isn't that what Paul said? Why make it an issue? Cause then Jews to stumble and hate you and your faith because you're speaking as a Catholic. You're not speaking on behalf of yourself. You're speaking as a member of the Catholic Church, and they associate you with the Catholic Church. What do you gain by trying to make the numbers less? Do you think Paul would have made that an issue? So if you're not about winning souls and bring them to the kingdom, then disassociate yourself from the Catholic Church. Say, I'm not speaking as a Catholic. I'm not a Catholic. I'm a political analyst. But you talk and you bark that you're a Catholic. And then you bring the Catholic Church down with you because of your attitude. Okay? So here, let's see what Paul would do. Definitely, it ain't what Nick Fuentes is doing. So you think Paul was living today and he would make it an issue about the numbers of Jews that were slaughtered? One Jew slaughtered is one too many. One life slaughtered is one too many. Right? Isn't that true? Isn't that true? Here. This is why, as much as I think he's brilliant, and I wouldn't mind joining, I can't. Because he does stuff that are so stupid and unnecessary. Like when he joined Kanye West. What was Kanye West wearing? That black outfit that looked like a condom? That he was wearing a condom? talking about Hitler had some great ideas. Seriously? It's like saying Muhammad had some great ideas. Here it is, black and white. You guys remember that clip? He's representing the Catholic Church to make it an issue of whether they cooked up the numbers of the Holocaust. What does that get you except backlash, not just from Jews, from others? And then they hate you and your church because of you. You remember that, right? I'm not lying. You saw that clip. And here's what Paul says. For though I am free, 1 Corinthians 9:19 and 23, from all, I have made myself a slave to all, so that I may win more. See, I became a slave to everyone. What Paul is saying is not that I compromise the truth. The truth of the gospel, I will never compromise. I will never water down the gospel. I'll never deny who Jesus is. But when it comes to other issues that have no significance and meaning, when it comes to a person's salvation, those issues mean nothing to me. Whether it's 6 million or 5 million, how does that affect one's salvation? Let's say it's 5 million, but I think it's 6 million. Is that going to jeopardize my salvation? You understand? If I'm wrong about the numbers, will I go to hell? What does that got to do with winning the Jews to Jesus Christ? What does that got to do with removing every unnecessary obstacle that hinders the Jews from knowing their God and Savior has become flesh, the man Christ Jesus? In point of fact, when you speak this way, you then remind the Jews of their experience in medieval Europe, where to this day, they say the Catholic Church came up to us and said, kiss the cross or the sword will kiss you. They still haven't forgotten. They still haven't forgotten the way the Jews were treated in medieval Europe. In point of fact, go to One for Israel, that YouTube channel, One for Israel. They have testimonies of Jews, even rabbis, who thought Jesus was a Gentile God because the Catholic Church came in the name of their God, Jesus, to slaughter them. That's how they identify Jesus, with the Catholics in Europe slaughtering them. I'm not saying they're right, but that's their perception. And they thought it was this God, Jesus, who hated the Jews, who used his people to slaughter the Jews. And then they find out, no, Jesus was a Jew. His followers were Jews. I'm not lying. There's testimonies, One for Israel. Like, man, I was shocked. You hear me there? So when you come as a Catholic voice and downplay the atrocities that the Jews have experienced, all you're doing is fueling their hatred of the Catholic Church, because what they're taught is, this is what the Catholic Church did to us in medieval Europe. They slaughtered our men and women and forced us to get baptized, losing our identity. You get my point? Yeah, get rid of the trolls. So let's finish this here. Right here, let's finish it. For though I am free from all, I've made myself a slave to all, so that I may win more. Now watch Nick Fuentes justify this. This is why there's no use talking to him. In fact, Candace Owens did you the courtesy of bringing you on her channel. And she even said, what you like to do is, you go on your platform and start cussing people out. You did it. You were kissing Candace's aspirations, being nice. And then right afterwards, you went on your stream and you dropped F-bombs and you called people. She was right. She nailed you. She knew you were going to go and start bashing her and calling her. That's what he did. That's what he does. He acts praise. F you, F you, F you. What happened, Nick? For though I am free from all, I've made myself a slave to all, so that I may win more. And to the Jews, I became as a Jew, so that I might win Jews. You think Nick knows Paul? You think he even follows the teaching of Paul? To the Jew, I became a Jew. Nick is becoming a Nazi to the Jew. You see right there? Yeah, he does that all the time. Right here. Is he imitating the spirit of Paul? Paul said, to the Jew, I became a Jew. The guy's becoming a Nazi to the Jew. That's why they call him neo-Nazi. In fact, I got a comment because I was playing Nick Fuentes. The guy called me a neo-Nazi. See, guilt by association. Guilt by association. To those under the law, as under the law, though not being myself under the law, so that I might win those who are under the law. To those who are without law, as without law, though not being without the law of God, but under the law of Christ, so that I might win those who are without law. Now watch what he's going to say in 1 Corinthians 10. To the weak I became weak, that I might win the weak. I become all things to all men, so that I may by all means save some. So I do all the things for the sake of the gospel, so that I may become a fellow partaker of it. Now watch here. 1 Corinthians 10, 31 and 33. Watch here. Whether then you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. Don't do it for you. Do it for the glory of God. Give no offense either to the Jews. You're telling me Nick is really exemplifying the Catholic spirit? You're telling me Nick is really following the spirit of Paul? Give no offense to the Jews. Give no offense either to Jews or to Greeks or the church of God. You think Nick is following Paul? You think if Paul was here and he saw Nick, he would be praising him? You are giving unnecessary offense to the Jews, as well as Greeks, meaning the unbelievers, the way you speak, or the church of God. And you're also scandalizing and offending the church. See right there? Now, everything in perspective and balance. When you meet a troublemaker, a rabble rouser, an enemy, then you put them in their place, rebuke them like Paul did. Everyone got this? Just as I also please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, so that they may be saved. Wait, does that sound like Nick? Does he please men or himself and his cult followers who've made him into an idol and they worship him? Nick gives offense to everyone and their mother, even those who are on his side. He doesn't give a chance for anyone to want to work with him. Right? This is what happens with social media. You give platforms to young kids who live in mommy's basement. They become superstars and they attract a cult following and they worship this cult leader and he can do no wrong, and it emboldens them more and more. Yeah, but they froze my accounts. And this is what we call the Martyrs complex. Be careful of fake piety, fake humbleness, fake humility, what's called the Martyrs complex, where you think that because you're being persecuted, that somehow justifies your approach, because after all, Jesus got martyred for his cause because he didn't toe the line. Therefore, I must be right because they're trying to martyr me. No, that is satanic. That's a delusion. It's called the Martyrs complex. You want me there? You with me what I'm getting at? Be careful of the Martyrs complex. Not everyone who gets his accounts frozen, right, or deplatformed is because they were righteous and they were fighting for the cause. It's because of your extreme demonic views where you alienate and demonize and you arouse people to violence because of your rhetoric. That's why they see you as a danger. Does it sound like he even knows the faith? He knows what the church teaches. He knows Paul. When Paul says, give no offense either to Jews or to Greeks, and I please all men, does that guy sound like he knows Paul at all? So as much as I like him, I I just don't see myself being able to share a stage with him because he's too toxic. He thinks he's doing mankind a favor and God a favor, right? Because he thinks, look, I'm being metaphorically crucified because, see, I follow Jesus. I'm like Jesus. I don't pull punches. I'll say no, you're just an extremist, loon, megalomaniac who is narcissistic personality disorder, right? So everyone got it?